Welcome to Kumbasoft DPAA tutorials. This tutorial is about managing logging target settings and is one of many log viewing features DPAA provides, and there are a number of tutorial videos related to this. So be sure to set your video playback to high definition, and though some visual details may have changed since this video was created, the functionality will be the same. So in other videos, you see other features of how to search for logs and filter and do some other things of the logging targets. But in this video, we're going to cover more features that are available to us relative to the logging targets themselves. So as you might have seen in other videos, as you select different appliances and domains, this logging target list dynamically changes. And there's a fractional number to the right indicating to you how many logging targets by each name was found in the selection to the left and how many of them are enabled. To quickly enable a logging target that's not enabled, you can select one or more logging targets as you see here, and you can enable them in one go. So that button above the logging target list allows me to enable the logging targets that are not enabled. And in a few seconds, what you'll see is this actually go to a matching number. So again, since it only found two logging targets called expense reporting log, I've enabled the two that were there. There was only one of these enabled before, and now all four are enabled, and none of these were enabled. And you can quickly tell the difference. When some are enabled, but not all of them, you'll see it in yellow. When all of them are enabled, you'll see it in just simple black and white. And when none of them are enabled, you'll see it listed in red. And the reason why you want to know that is so you don't query stale logging files that may be on the appliance. We can also disable logging targets. So I can again go back into a couple of these logging targets here, and I can say, you know what, I don't want these constantly polling. I'm going to disable them so I can disable all the logging targets. And while we're doing this, we are changing logging target settings. It's just a quick one-click selection to enable us to do that. I can also select any number of logging targets in here, and I can click the edit button to edit some basic logging target features right from the screen, namely the logging level, the file size, and the number of rotations. So I can choose any one of these things, and I can say, oh, I want to change this to some other logging level. I want to set the file size, maybe bigger or however large I want it to be. And I can change the number of rotations of this logging target to the number of rotations I want it to have, and then I can click OK. And when I do that, DPAA is going to go out and start changing those log target settings on the appliances where that logging target is. Keep in mind, if I have one of these where it only found one or two logging targets, even though I have four appliances selected and maybe multiple domains selected, DPAA knows where that logging target is and will only do the proper thing. The other thing you'll notice is a little diskette has shown up next to the domain that I'm working on to indicate to you that we are in fact have made changes that have not yet been persisted. So we might want to at some point go and save the configurations, the configuration changes we're making. Another way to change log target settings, if I go to the Find tab. So if I go up here and I go to the Find tab, you'll see that I had the logging target object type already selected. Then I can search for logging targets here, and I can get a list of logging targets that are available to me in the selection that I've made. So I've got four appliances in one domain. I've selected all of these, I've searched all of these logging targets, and then I can sort them by name and work on them in groups. As you noticed, we had modified this one because some of them were not enabled, and we made some other modifications to this logging target, so we see it's already modified. But if I take, say, this logging target and I select both of them on these two appliances, notice since I've sorted them by name, I don't see this logging target in the dev appliances, which is fine. I can right mouse click or select the hamburger menu. And I get a number of options for manipulating the log target objects within DPAA. So I can quickly toggle the admin state here, but this is a toggling action where if they're enabled, they'll be disabled. If they're disabled, they'll be enabled. And some other things that I may be able to do here. I'm going to open the selected objects here, and we're going to get a screen that displays the properties of these logging targets side by side. So this screen is very powerful because you can see all the properties in here side by side. So this is a neat way to compare log target properties. If the logging targets were not identically the same, for example, let's suppose this port were a little bit different on one of them as opposed to the other one, and I were to change its value and then click away, you see how it turned red? That indicates to you that those two properties are not the same. And so because of that, we may need to change the number. So when we're setting a port, we may have a remote port that we're sending our logs to, and we need to put those together. Now the reason why that changed at the same time is because I have synchronized editing on here, and that allows us to change any given value that we want to be able to change and make the value exactly the same on all these selected logging targets. That is, all the logging targets that we're showing in this screen. Now, if I had selected if I had selected only 2 of the 4 of these, I'd only be affecting the 2 I had opened into the window. So it doesn't necessarily synchronize the editing across every logging target of the same type or within the system, but only those that we have selected. But the convenience here is if I do select, to change something in one of these values, it will synchronize it automatically. Now, if I don't synchronize and I come back and set this connect timeout back to say 60, then I run into the situation where notice it didn't change that one because synchronized edits is off and they are now different, and it is clear as bell to you that those are in fact different. So we have many options here, and I can save this back to the appliances, and now I've persisted at least the changes I made for these 2 logging targets back. Now you'll notice some other properties out here where it says edit using the manage whatever pop-up menus. Whenever we're talking about multiple items for a logging target, or in fact any object in DPAA, you're going to see this sort of thing. Even though you can see them side by side and it would show in red if they were different, you can't edit them meaningfully from this screen. So what we do to edit such a thing is we can go into the logging targets like this, select whatever they are. Again, I'm pressing the right mouse button, and then we can manage log targeting event subscription filters, log targeting event suppression filters, the events, the IPs, the object filters, and the log triggers. Now when we do this and we go and decide we want to edit some of these things, we get a screen enabling us to make major changes. And this screen will show you any values that are currently within those in that property of those logging targets that you had selected. So if I were to select, say, the logging object filters, we'll see very, very quickly that we've got all these logging object filters here that it will log, and that typically happens when you subscribe a log to a particular object, and then it has the ability to follow the tree of referenced objects so that you can see all the objects that are going to be logged in that particular logging target. There are other videos that explain how this screen works, and it's very complicated, so we're not going to go over this at this time. Just be aware that if you're editing any of those properties that require arrays or long lists of objects, you'll find the editing capability under the right mouse button or under the hamburger menu on the screen in front of you. That's all we have for this video. If you want to learn more about the log target and log viewing features within DPAA, go out to www.kumbasoft.com, go to the features and tutorials list there, and you'll see all kinds of videos related to logging and viewing logs on your DataPower appliances through DPAA. Some of those features are very unique and very powerful, so you'll want to view all of these videos if you want to get the full power of DPAA in your head when you're utilizing the tool. Also, subscribe to our channel, and that way you can see all the different videos we publish related to not only logging, but every other feature of the appliance, and you'll get notifications when we release new videos of new features and any new videos related to all the new features we release on our regular release schedule. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.